Well, the big travel boom expected in 2022 could be volatile and full of some wild cards. Seema Modi joins us right now with a look at some possible buying opportunities. Good morning, Seema.
Good morning, Becky. While travel in 2021 was mired by travel disruptions and new variants, experts say 2022 will likely be more of the same and that it will require more flexibility, especially when going overseas, from COVID testing to vaccine requirements. But hospitality CEOs we speak to say that won't discourage Americans from booking trips next year.
People get used to it, and then it just becomes another rule, like you have to take your shoes off when you go through the metal detectors at the, like it's just another part of travel that may not be the most convenient, but I don't think it's really going to prevent people from taking the trips that they want.
Now, of all the travel-related names, the big hotel operators have performed the best. They're up about 25 to 40% this year as rising vaccination rates have led to a rebound in bookings. Hotels are also outperforming home rental competitor Airbnb this year. That's a reverse of what we saw last year. And for 2022, Gordon Haskett still favors Airbnb, saying it has a more COVID-resilient business model than its peers, forecasting longer-term bookings to accelerate in the face of Omicron. Now, of the hotels, analysts at Bernstein like Hyatt following its $2.7 billion acquisition of Apple Leisure Group, helping the hotel operator increase its share in resorts and leisure travel, which continues to be the strongest part of the recovery. Now, coming off a very strong week, the cruise lines, you'll see, are trading lower in pre-market here. Holland America cruise ship, as you guys were discussing, was blocked from entering Puerto Vallarta due to COVID cases on board. It is the latest ship forced to change its itinerary due to COVID on board. And of course, infections are happening despite, guys, a deep focus on prevention.
Yeah, Seema, that's what I was going to ask you about. Just in terms of the potential setback for that, I think people finally thought it was safe to go back on the water again. You hear something like that where even if you're not concerned about COVID, even if you feel like you're safe, you're vaccinated, maybe you've had exposure, so you feel like you're okay with it, or you think Omicron's not all that serious, you get trapped on your cruise line and you can't get off and can't disembark, or maybe you're stuck in your room for much of that time. I mean, that may change the appeal of these cruise lines just the same.
Certainly. In fact, the cruise lines have, of course, updated their protocols. There is a mask mandate. You have to be fully vaccinated. You also have to present a negative COVID test. And yet the big question for Wall Street is, with these cases rising and with more cases on board, will that prevent or discourage customers from booking a cruise ship? Now, the latest commentary we got from Carnival CEO Arnold Donald last week was that Omicron so far has only resulted in a small spike in cancellation. So that's one of the reasons we saw cruise stocks outperform last week, with Carnival gaining as much as 13 to 14%. So we'll have to see if that story stays the same going into 2022. One thing I will say, yes, the idea of being quarantined on one of these ships doesn't sound like a great vacation, but
Happy holidays.
But I will say that the cruisers, they are very loyal. Those who like cruising, they love it. They really stand by it. They say it's the way they like to travel. So they have a very loyal customer base.